Hi, good evening. Uh, Welcome to the city's District 4 budget listening session. I'm Amanda Garcia Snell. I'm the city's Chief Engagement Officer. Thank you so much for coming to share your thoughts and hear from your share your thoughts with City Council and our City Administrator, Raymond Lee, and to hear from your fellow Portlanders. I just have a couple of housekeeping bits, and then I will pass it off to City Administrator Lee, who will share some short budget remarks, and then we'll hear from your District 4 counselors with some opening remarks, and then we will open the floor to hear from you all. And at the conclusion of testimony, we'll have some closing remarks from your counselors, and then that will be our evening. So just for awareness, there are restrooms. There is a single-use restroom right outside this door, and then there are restrooms down the hall. Um, and hopefully you saw water and snacks as well out in the lobby. If you hopefully you had a chance to sign in, and if you would like to provide testimony, there's a sign-up table right outside the door if you didn't have a chance to sign up yet. And with that, I will pass it on to City Administrator Lee for budget remarks.
Try this again? Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to see everyone here. This is a very important topic. You know, one of the biggest policy decisions that this elected body will be making is adopting a budget for the city. A lot of work has gone into this work. Roughly almost 9 months of work has gone into a proposed budget that the city council has to make a decision on. But tonight is the process of listening to the feedback that you have as it relates to the proposed budget, hear from you the priorities that you would love to see us move forward and this council take into consideration as they look at adopting a budget for the FY 26-27 year. I want to make sure that we know that this work that we are doing as it relates to this budget is to ensure that the core services of this city are provided at an optimal level. We want to make sure that we are enhancing the quality of life of people within and throughout our city. We want to make sure we're making investments in the appropriate areas that this community wants to see advanced. I want to acknowledge the hard work and where we are at this point in time in the budget. When you look at what we're faced with as a city, we were looking at roughly a $170 million deficit that had to be made up. Keep in mind, we have a budget that we're looking at presenting from the mayor's standpoint at $8.5 billion. That $170 million deficit is really related to our general fund. Our general fund are those services, our police, our fire, our parks and recreation, our homeless solutions, our also looking at our back office staff as well, our HR staff, our IT, finance, budget, all of the services that provide those core essential things that we need as a city to be productive and move our city forward. It wasn't easy. A lot of tough decisions have been made to this point. And I have to admit, I have to tip my hat to the council because I know they're going to have to make some even tougher decisions as it relates to what the adopted budget will look like for the city. When we look at some kind of high level budget picture for the city, the biggest challenge out of the general fund was addressed in a lot of different areas. There wasn't a single portion of this city that was not touched in some shape, form, or fashion as it relates to budget reductions. You will see reductions in our public safety arm. You will see reductions in our parks and recreation. You will see reductions in our homeless operations. All these things had to be made to produce a balanced budget for this city. When I look at some of the proposed budget things that are protected, all 31 fire stations remain open. All community centers and parks remain open. Uh, Every police officer and investigator is staying on the job. Investments in affordable housing continue. Work to help unsheltered Portlanders move into permanent housing also continues. Doesn't say those things don't continue at a reduced rate, but those programs are still in effect in the mayor's proposed budget. What are those reductions that you see in the budget? Reduce shelter operations and street outreach. Scale back materials, technology, and administrative support in the police bureau. Fewer engine units and reduce hours for some fire bureau teams. And what you'll hear about this and a lot of conversation will be the removal of one of the engines out of engine 22 that's in the St. John's area. Also, trimmed hours and maintenance across our park systems, and also streamlining the reductions across all city operations. And this is some of the work that we did in our core realignment work for the city. These changes aim to minimize impacts on frontline services while addressing the city's financial realities. And one thing I'll share with you that we're working on as leadership within the city, and we do have two of your counselors that are actually sitting on this committee. Every year we're having a conversation about budget cuts, reductions, not having enough funds to provide the basic service levels that we have been provided from the prior years. We have a committee formed of counselors, private entities, community members, and city staff to build out a 5-year financial model and plan to pull us out of this predicament. So every year we're not having the same conversations as it relates to where we stand from a revenue standpoint. And I really appreciate the support that the council is giving of their time and energy and the citizens that we have on this committee to really help shape where we move forward as an organization from a financial standpoint, because it's critical. Without the finances, we're not able to do the things that you are asking us to do as a city. And we want to make sure that we are a resilient city that is providing optimal services to everyone in the community. In this, where we are in this process today, this is the last of the current schedule budget hearings in the community town halls that we have. We've had one in every district to this point. Uh, After this one, there may be some offshoot budget town hall meetings that individual councilors may do. But from a city structure standpoint, we want to make sure that we set up the platform and the environment to hear the feedback from people in the community. Council will be in deliberation for the rest of this month and looking at adopting a budget in the latter part of June with the start of the new fiscal year, July 1st. I must say, we do have challenges ahead of us, but these challenges also bring opportunities. Opportunities for us to reach the full potential of our city, opportunities to live the dreams and vision that everyone has for our city. And I believe we will truly live to see those things come true. We have committed staff, we have a dedicated council, and we have the leadership that is really pushing this city forward. And I really commend the community for really changing the way that we have done business. A lot of cities talk about change in the way the form of government may work or may not work for them. But this community, the city, really went to the ballot box and actually changed it and not just talked about it. And you're seeing this living change happening live and in person. And yes, there's trials and tribulations within this, but with every change, there comes opportunity and growth. And we're going to grow and get better from every opportunity that we're presented with. And I just thank everyone for being committed, for your engagement and dedication to this city and working with us, because we cannot do this by ourselves. We need the community engaged in these conversations and helping guide us in the direction that we're heading as a city. So I just thank you for everyone that has turned out today to help support where we're heading as a city, and look forward to hearing your testimony. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Councilor Zimmerman and then Councilor Green and then Councilor Clark.
Let's see, are we on? All right. If you'll notice, all these microphones are hot, which means if you know me and we're in a school, I'm probably gonna get detention by the end of the day. I don't think we can turn these off, so I'm already a little nervous. It's great to see everybody. I really appreciate you being here. It taking some time out of your evening and your week is commendable. In District 4, when we do these, though, we usually have hundreds of people, and last year we had hundreds of people. So part of me wonders a little bit about maybe what's on people's mind, because as a district, we normally pack an auditorium like this. So I'm wondering if the message has gotten out, because I think I'm kind of feeling similar, having done public budgets since 2013 in 3 cities and 1 county. To be quite transparent with you, this is the most daunting one I've ever been a part of, and the most concerning one, and the one where I quite simply do not and cannot yet identify the best levers to change, because it's like the water balloon. Any place where you press, you see a bulge somewhere else, and none of it's good. So I've never started a budget season that way, but I'm choosing to do that because of just because of the numbers and the situation that we're in, coming away with how our funding was the last few years to now, when it's quite different. But I have always, since the beginning of my career, I've always valued these types of budget listening sessions where the public comes right to the microphone and talks about the thing that they value, or the set of values that they have, the thing that has made a difference in their families' lives. And so this is an incredibly valuable opportunity for me. And so if you take the time to speak tonight, I very much appreciate that and listen intently. And I'll tell you, these types of sessions have led to solutions over the years, right? Last year, we successfully kept kids' recreation afloat. And I think that we sent a message as a community largely because of these types of testimonies about kids' recreation after school and what happens between 3 and 8 p.m. After school. It matters a lot. So your testimony will be helpful today. And there is an aspect to the neighborhood by neighborhood impact of city life that we get to hear from you. So thank you for coming and sharing that with us. I'm approaching it very much from a perspective similar to defining what are core services and how do they relate to our core values. And that is not a defined set of parameters, that we each come at that differently. And so this type of sensing session is helpful for us to do that. But when I think about public safety and livability and affordability in this community, our budget will affect each of those pillars. And so as you value certain programs, let us know. And if you have ideas or you have concerns, let us know. And I'll share more toward the end after we hear from folks. But my great appreciation to everybody. Thank you for giving us your time tonight and being part of this.
Thank you for removing my gallon jug. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Mitch Green. I'm a city councilor for District 4. Councilor Zimmerman kind of teed it up the right framing, which is, I think everyone understands that we have a considerable deficit to close. City Administrator Lee, it's not easy work. I think everyone understands that, accepts that. I think where we're at in the community right now is wondering if the way that we went about to close that was the only way that we could have closed it, and whether there was a different way that aligns with our city's values. And that's what your council is going to be grappling with over the next month. My team is looking through this budget page by page, line by line, and really asking if we've done the hard look, particularly at the upper strata of the organization, to make the cuts, to keep whole and provide the space and resources to preserve some of the things that we're hearing from community that matter the most. We've done surveys like everyone else, and everyone wants to not touch public safety, not touch the shelter program, and not touch parks. That's the entire general fund. And so you have to make some sort of decision on where to balance those cuts. But I think that there's more room in this budget to get creative and look at ways to identify those pieces that can be preserved, that make Portlanders feel safe, that make Portlanders feel like that we're actually investing in our communities. And as Councilor Zimmerman said, it's not an easy, there's no obvious lever this time. And that's really challenging. And so that, the work is to look very closely and see what we can do. I want to say a quick note about, just for context, we've got a little flyer here and I hope you picked it up, but it does try to provide a little bit of a sense that of that $8.5 billion budget, most of that is restricted. 90% of it's restricted. And so I think that, when I was outside of this seat, just getting acquainted with this budget, I always wondered, how is it that you can't find $1 million here, $1 million there, and an $8.6 billion budget? And it turns out half of it's rate funded. You can't spend that except for on rate projects. And the other half is just a amalgam of different restricted funds. And so what we do have in our city is a broken revenue system. And part of what we are doing with this financial stabilization working group, of which I'm a member from council, is to look very deeply at that revenue structure and see if we can come up with a way to change that. So we're not finding ourselves in a year by year ad hoc budgeting exercise that doesn't look to the future and leaves our sort of our public sector workers and our community members left holding the bag. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you tonight, and we'll have some more to say at the very end.
Great. Hello, everybody. I'm Olivia Clark, and I'm the one who still has hair.
We'll see. Wait for the end of the budget.
Wait till the end of the budget. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming here. It's great to see people I know and fresh faces. I'll be very short because I really want to hear from you. And I have been hearing from you. I've gotten lots of emails. I have a survey out that over 400 people have responded to. So I encourage you to look at the QR code. I've got something out there on the table. If there's still time for you to give me your feedback. And let me just share some of the things that I'm hearing from the over 400 people that I've heard from. Is the number one issue that I'm hearing is public safety. The number two issue is homelessness and drugs. Number three, roads, which I'm hoping that we will be able to take care of in the next year or so. And then parks was the fourth thing that came in. And if any of you know me or have been watching me for the last year and a half, public safety is at the top of my list of concerns. I want all of us to feel safe. And public safety is a core function of local government, along with clean water and safe streets. So if our mission is a safe Portland for everyone, I support much of the mayor's proposed budget, but I think the cuts to public safety really violate that mission statement. We're already understaffed, underprotected, and vulnerable in this community. So I'm going to look for ways to restore some of these cuts in this budget to both police and fire. Just give you a little heads up there. But I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say tonight, and I'll just leave it at that. So thanks again for coming.
Great. Thank you, counselors. Now we'll move into the testimony portion of the evening. So tonight is about hearing from you all. It's not a back and forth conversation. We are making space for people who live in district and have not provided comments at any of the other listening sessions so far to be able to go first, and then we'll move on to other folks that want to share testimony. We will be projecting a cue up on the screen here in a few minutes that will show the order in which you're providing your testimony. I'll call people up in groups. We have 3 seats here, and I'll call you up in groups of 3. You'll have 2 minutes apiece to provide your comment. We have about an hour and 40 minutes for public testimony, so we'll have plenty of time to hear from you all. Please do your best to stick to that 2-minute time, though, so that we can hear from as many folks as possible. We'll have a timer up on the screen. If you're providing testimony in another language, we will give you extra time so that you can be able to say your full testimony. When testifying, please state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Please declare if you're a lobbyist. If you're representing an organization, please identify it. Disruptive conduct, such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony, will not be allowed. If there are disruptions, a warning will be given that further disruption may result in the person being muted or asked to leave. And please know that this meeting is being recorded. Thank you for helping your fellow Portlanders feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe. If you have questions and prefer not to provide oral testimony, you can scan the QR code that's on that handout that Councilor Green mentioned. It's available in the lobby, and we can make sure you have that so that that QR code will take you straight to the city's budget page, and there's a testimony form. You can provide written testimony in there. You can also ask a question of the budget office, and they'll be able to respond to that question. We will not be answering any questions tonight. Tonight is an opportunity for community to share your feedback and for the city to listen. And with that, we will get the queue and the timers up, and I will go ahead and start calling folks to provide testimony. So we have Carlos Sanchez, Kyle Leclerc, and Alex Juver. And whatever order you come up is fine.
Trying to avoid the tension here. Good evening. First, I want to say thank you, councilors, and Mr. Lee, for your service to our city. This is obviously difficult for all of us, and you in particular, and for your service to our district. I'm reading this on behalf of friends of mine who work at the Bureau of Environmental Services, and I'm speaking on their behalf because they are fearful of losing their jobs if they speak publicly. My friends have worked at the Bureau of Environmental Services, or BES, for over 20 years, and they say that they've never faced as many internal threats to their work as they do today. First, the core services realignment is hitting BES and the Water Bureau hardest, yet none of the positions being cut are paid for by the general fund. This will not save ratepayers money, and it will result in more ratepayer dollars funding the work of other bureaus. This is effectively a cash transfer, which I've understood to not be allowed, from BES and water to the general fund. Second, the core services realignment of technology staff specifically will break vital work processes. BES work is very technical and complex. BES's technology staff have worked for decades to build, maintain, and understand BES's complicated data management systems. These staff are not interchangeable with other technology staff, yet they are being moved out of BES, and there's no clear plan to cover their important work. City leaders want more performance reporting based on metrics, dashboards, and data. The realignment of technology staff will severely hamper BES's ability to meet this need. Realignment decisions are being made by people who do not understand the work. Please vote to remove BES and water bureaus from the core service realignment, or to leave technology staff in the bureaus. Third, the new city administration is hampering BES's ability to provide vital services that the community depends on. We used to have commissioner silos, now we have DCA silos, and they're worse. Everything has to be communicated by the Public Utilities Director and Public Works DCA. This blocks important, complicated, and nuanced information from getting to the people who need it. BES and water continue to lose bureau positions to city administration. For example, BES had one position dedicated to asset management. When the person in that position left in March, the position was taken out of BES and put into city administration for a different purpose.
Thank you.
In conclusion, please push back against positions being taken away from bureaus and added to the already large number of administrative positions. And please also continue to push for direct communication with bureau managers and staff. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Leclerc. I'm a second generation Portlander, born and raised. I'm a paramedic on the chat follow-up team. These remarks are my own. I've been a paramedic for nearly 16 years. 11 of those years, I've responded to 911 calls here in Multnomah County. As you all know, our 911 system and hospitals are overburdened. Community-based health care is the future, and we need your help to keep building it. This week, chat reached an important milestone. For the first time since the program began, we now have a paramedic assigned to all 4 of our 911 service units. Until recently, we only had around 2. That expansion means we can connect more people to life-saving treatment, including medications like buprenorphine after opioid overdose. It also allows us to take more 911 calls that truly require a paramedic while keeping our fire crews available in their stations and more rigs in service. Earlier today, during the work session, you discussed the aging vehicles and equipment. Chat can help with this, again, by keeping our fire personnel in the stations. I also want to mention with our 2 cuts that we have, it would severely limit our ability to grow as well as apply for other grants in the future. I want to share one example from just the past month here in Northwest Portland. We worked with one community member who had a traumatic brain injury affecting memory and decision making. This person was losing weight due to poor nutrition and was largely disconnected from support, including his family. Our team stepped in, reconnected him with his family, linked him to health services, and he now has moved into a higher level of care just minutes away from his loved ones. That's the kind of work we do every day. We've helped people move from the streets into stable housing and from unsafe situations into assisted living. We've had connected many people to detox services, then outpatient services for continued sobriety. There's no other program in Portland providing this level of community health with these kinds of outcomes. Chat deeply appreciates your support. Many of you have joined us for ride-alongs and have seen the work firsthand. Now we're asking for your continued help to sustain and grow it. Do I have a few more seconds, or I'm not seeing the clock move? So I just wanted to go over a few of the stats here. Prior to our team stepping in, I'd say 73% of emergency department ED use was reduced to 35%.
Thank you.
911, yep.
Hi, it's actually Alex Javier, but I write difficultly, so that makes sense. So I'll just start with my statement. Hello, City Council members. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say today. While I'm an employee of the City of Portland, I'm also a resident of District 4, and the opinions today are my own and do not represent an official stance of the city. I know I did speak to a few of you already, but I did not get to speak to Councilwoman Clark or City Administrator Lee, so I appreciate the chance to share testimony now. I'm here to alert you about an attempt by the city to subvert the will of the people and council by diverting PSEF funds under the guise of core services realignment. As I'm sure you are aware, the Portland Clean Energy Fund was voted in by the people to invest in green infrastructure and green jobs. And beyond that, each PSEF investment project needs to be approved by City Council. And in the case of the Equitable Tree Canopy project that I work for, is accountable to an independent oversight committee. The goal of the project is to invest $40 million in planting new trees in the places that Portland needs it most to combat deadly heat events like the 2021 heat dome. The core services realignment is attempting to kneecap our ability to complete this crucial work, and the city positions being cut are fully funded through 2028. These specialized positions were carefully designed to achieve our desired outcomes of tripling the tree planting programs offered by the city. If these positions were not necessary, City Council, city leadership, and the independent committee would not have approved them. The core services realignment is cutting jobs just like Doge did in 2025. Using my own work as an example, I am being laid off because leadership saw my job title as training coordinator and assumed that I do HR work. Just this week, I am onboarding 13 contracting companies to their tree planting and tree establishment work and our new tree management asset software. It's an important part of our public-private partnership in green infrastructure and to improve the city canopy equity. So this is very highly specialized work that city HR, centralized HR cannot do. This is just an example, one example of many where PSEF funded positions are being cut without reason that are already funded. At a time when we were having difficult budget decisions, change just for the sake of this is very disruptive and unnecessary. And when we have funding for them, I don't think that we need to tighten the budget anymore or make these changes when we can keep providing services to people during this time while we figure things out. So I hope that you will consider pausing the core services realignment until we can see the impacts of that work. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Alyssa Pichardo, Sandy Steinecker, and Jenny Mannon.
sake of time, I'll just start if you're ready for me. Thank you, counselors and CA Lee for being here tonight. My name is Alyssa Pichardo. I am the Vision Zero data analyst at the City of Portland Bureau of Transportation. I live in District 4 and I am here as a community member. I am also here to talk about the proposed core realignment service cuts that are happening, that are undermining the city's traffic safety and transportation repair work. The mayor has proposed eliminating key positions without a clear plan for who will build and maintain critical data assets starting July 1st. This is bad for our city's Vision Zero goal. Specifically, there are analysts and technical specialists at PBOT who are being cut that maintain software and build software specifically for city maintenance staff to map, route, track, pothole filling, roadway restriping, sidewalk, and roadway repairs. Functions critical to public accountability for the transportation utility fee. These services will stop July 1st. I just want to make that clear because we are losing this support staff. We are also losing support and maintenance of key databases that track our traffic volumes and speeding and crash data across the city. These data assets inform decision-making at every level of traffic safety, from design to engineering to enforcement that we coordinate with PPB on, and also project prioritization. There is no plan for who will take on this needed maintenance starting July 1st. PBOT has over 30 years of crash data that I rely on specifically in my role. This allows for pre and post-project safety evaluations that the city auditor specifically asked PBOT to continue to do. That maintenance of that database is going away. I rely on this database also to prioritize locations for automated enforcement cameras, as well as respond to the city attorney when there is a lawsuit around a crash that occurred in the city. Also, this database informs where we spend our limited capital project funding for our highest crash areas across the city. This database, specifically the crash database, will degrade as it goes unmaintained, forgoes critical data upgrades that need to happen because it is 20 years old.
Thank you.
And without dedicated support from PBOT staff.
Thank
I
you.
just want to say that we are not at zero deaths and we are trying to turn the corner on that, and losing staff that support that work is critical and very detrimental to the program. Thank you.
Hello. I am not attached to anything. I just live in Portland. I just moved here like 4 years ago, and I want to come up here and share my experience because I think only living in Portland for 4 years gives me a different outlook. And when I first moved here, living in the Homestead neighborhood, I was really excited to go on the air tram, and it was so depressing. There was garbage everywhere, and it was one of the saddest things ever. And I went on it again last month, and it was cleaned up. And it looked beautiful. And I felt so good. And I took so much pride in the city. And I just want to tell you guys, the road we're going on with like cleaning up the parks is so important. Because when people come to the city to visit, it's the parks department and the sanitation crew and the backbone of our city that like I'm showing off to my family, that I'm taking pride in like, look at this, you know, and I get so excited to show off the beautiful things about Portland. And there's so much beauty everywhere. And I would really hate to see us slip backwards. So as a resident who's newer to the area, who's madly in love with this city, can we please just keep going in the right direction to keep it clean and, you know, get rid of some of the middle management and help the people who are really the backbone of the city who are making the differences. And I do want to say, I know that when I looked into, there's been a lot of talk about giving money to the Moda Center. And I was really proud to see that it was some of my representatives that were the ones that were fighting back, that don't want to be included in that. Because the last thing I want to do is see any of my money go to any of that nonsense when it really clearly belongs in our own communities, in our parks. Because when people come to visit me, not once has anyone said, let's go to a basketball game. But we've been to the Rose Garden, we've been to Mount Tabor, we've been all over the city. So let's just keep our priorities where they are, because Portland is a special place. And it took me a year of living here to realize what the people about Portland are really about and what the nature of Portland, how much it brings to enriching the city. So I don't want to see that overlooked.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Kitty Firth, Helena Birecki, and Marita Inglesby. Maritza Inglesby.
How do you follow Alyssa? I'm Kitty Firth. I'm a longtime Portlander. I'm a member of the Portland Parks Board, and I'm here speaking for myself and for the board. We care very much about this, and we care very much about partnering with the council, with the city administrator. This is our time to really shine. We have a new setup. Let's explore it. Let's work it through together. I love what you said, Mr. Lee, about investing in our city. You always have to invest in a city. We keep Portland weird, but we also have to keep it prosperous. We have to keep it livable, and that means we have to touch everybody. Mr. Green, I loved what you said about updating the revenue structure. Yes, the SDCs, the system development charges that we're funding parks maintenance, or sorry, new parks growth, have been on hiatus for a bit, and it's starting to show. When we build affordable housing, it may not necessarily have outside play areas, recreation areas attached to that wonderful affordable housing. So it needs to be nearby. It needs to be accessible to everybody, not just someone with a car. Ms. Clark, safe, healthy, and included. I think that's what we all want for our outside spaces, our downtown spaces and our park spaces. But parks don't wait for funding. They're sort of like having a big dog that you forget to feed and walk. They turn on you. They become less safe, even just by perception. Then they become less safe and less used. And so it's a downhill slope. We got to prevent that by taking care of what we have. But I must say we're terribly excited about what we're building. The bringing back the Thompson Elk, our mayor with his baseball hat on backwards and his high tops celebrating 125 years of history. Darcel Plaza coming, and our waterfront. Oh, the vision for that is going to be amazing, both sides of the river. So I'd like to say, what changes to the mayor's budget do you see gaining support from council? And how do you see the Parks Board help you as decisions are made?
Hi, my name is Helena Birecki. I live in District 4. I am very grateful to have the opportunity to listen and also to speak, and grateful to follow the other wonderful commenters. I want to talk about two things. One is this idea of livability and safety. As you see, I bicycled here. And for me, like I live basically at 20th and Burnside. And for me, like I feel bad for the people who don't have a place to stay. I feel bad for the people who are addicted to fentanyl. I do not feel scared of them. What I feel scared of is the people who are going to hit me in their giant SUVs and kill me. That's what I feel scared of. So investing in safe public and active transportation is super, super, super key. That is livability. That is definitely a question of life and death. And the second thing, somebody already mentioned PSEF funds. Don't raid PSEF funds. That is incredibly short-sighted. We are coming up to like the intersection of climate change with an El Nino that looks to be the worst ever. Like PSEF and the heat pumps and the weatherization and other climate resilience adaptations that funds, that saves lives. The last 2021 heat dome killed 107 people in like 3 days. This summer is likely to be worse. Please don't raid PSEF. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And I really appreciate all your work on the budget so far. And I appreciate how difficult a job you have. I would like to advocate for keeping chat. It sounds like just the program we need. It is accomplishing so much, and behavioral health is just an issue that is not going to go away right now. I'm wondering if we have looked for efficiencies between city and county. They are also, having to cut money. One thing I have been wondering about lately is why is there always a fire truck and an ambulance when 911 gets called? It seems like I see them, both racing, and is that necessary? Is there some way to coordinate that so there's only one emergency vehicle, going to response? I really appreciate the 311 service, and I hope that that's not going to be cut. That is just so invaluable. People are getting answers, things are getting done, and the city residents are really feeling like this is their city, because they can call 311. The other communication tool that has been just wonderful is the Rose City Connection. That is just such a source of information. It's information that I never knew where to get before, and it's all coming out nicely packaged and organized. So I appreciate those services. And I'm sorry, I don't know anything that we can cut, but I just hope that we are looking for efficiencies and new ways of doing things, and maybe new programs that are going to launch. Maybe we don't launch those for a while because, we can hold off another few years until we get that money that City Administrator Lee is talking about, 5-year plan. So thank you very much.
Can you say your name for the record?
Oh, sorry, Marita Inglesby.
And next we'll have Sandy Steinecker and Maria Flores.
Buenas tardes, consejeros y señor Lee. Mi nombre es María Flores. Soy trabajadora de limpieza en el edificio Portland. Tengo 2 años ahí trabajando para Relay Resources. También soy miembro de CIU Local 49 y delegada sindical. Estoy aquí para hablar de la importancia de invertir en instalaciones limpias y tratar a los trabajadores con respeto.
Good evening, council members and Administrator Lee. My name is Maria Flores. I work as a janitor at the Portland building. I've been working for Relay Resources there for 2 years. I'm also a member of SEIU Local 49 and a union steward. I'm here to speak about the importance of investing in clean facilities and treating workers with respect.
Trabajo en el piso 12 que está activo 24 horas al día. Hago de todo, aspiro y quito las gotas de café y migajas de galleta. Después de reunir los cuartos de baño y respondo a pedidas urgentes como derrames y vidrios rotos. Me gusta mi trabajo, dejando todo limpio y ordenado.
I work on the 12th floor, which is active 24 hours a day. I do some of everything. I vacuum, I clean up coffee drips and cookie crumbs after meetings, I clean the restrooms, I respond to urgent requests, such as spills and broken glass. I enjoy my job, leaving everything clean and organized.
También aprecio ser miembro y delegada de la Unión. Nos apoyamos unos a otros. Tenemos a quien nos respalde para resolver desacuerdos. Esto es aún más importante para los empleados de Relay con discapacidad. Nos hacen sentir que podemos hacer el trabajo a pesar de nuestras condiciones, que todos somos iguales, no somos menos.
I also appreciate being a union member and steward. We support one another. We have someone to back us up to resolve disagreements with management. This is even more important for Relay employees with disabilities. It makes us feel that we are capable of doing the work despite our conditions, that we are all equals and we are not lesser than anyone else.
Era diferente cuando yo trabajaba en limpieza sin unión. Nos hacían trabajar mucho más de lo justo y no teníamos remedio.
Things were very different when I worked in cleaning without a union. We were made to work far more than was fair, and we had no recourse.
Comprendemos que los departamentos de la ciudad tienen que hacer ciertos recortes, tengo que decirles la verdad, si recortan sus presupuestos de limpieza, los salones y baños y de demás, simplemente no quedarán igual de limpios.
We understand that city departments have to make certain cuts, but I have to tell you the truth. If you cut their cleaning budgets, the offices, bathrooms, and other areas simply won't get as clean.
Pedimos que inviertan en la limpieza en cada departamento y que siempre contraten una compañía con unión que nos respalde y los trabajadores. Gracias por su atención y apoyo.
We ask that you invest in cleaning services in every department and that you always hire a unionized company that respects its workers. Thank you for your attention and support. And Jeremy Simmer, SEIU 49, just also want to recognize the Allied Universal Security officers here tonight who are also members of our union and thank them for their work.
Well, I'm an ex-SEIU organizer, so I love following that. However, tonight am representing a group called Southwest Outreach. And we are a group of, it changes because we, for some reason, keep attracting volunteers. And we are up close to 50 volunteers at this point. We are a completely volunteer organization who works with folks who are unhoused in the Southwest area. That includes, what was I going to say? We provide showers, we provide a hot meal, we provide outreach during the day. We send teams out to camps to check that folks are okay, and most importantly, to build relationships with people so that they know they can come to the showers or to the meal when they need support particularly during severe weather, but also in many other crisis situations. Most recently, the biggest number of crises and the biggest kinds of crises that people are experiencing are sweeps. They are brutal, they are inhuman, and they are ferociously increasing every day. Twice this weekend, we've helped people try to move fast enough to get out of the way of rapid response. People are being moved weekly. A few weeks ago, I was actually told, I was talking to some folks who were upset. They said, we asked them, where can we go? Just tell us where to go to be out of the way. We want to be out of the way. And they were rather cynically told, why don't you just move a couple 100 yards down this way? And then when we sweep you next week, you can move back here. This is not a system that is helping people. And despite the attempt to say that cleanliness is equal to solving the problem of homelessness, it is not. People are going deeper and deeper into the neighborhoods, into the woods, trying to find a place they can hide, trying to find a place where they can have a night's sleep so that maybe they can have enough calmness and peace to think about going to get their ID, going to get a new phone. I'm sorry. I'm really concerned that you look at that item in the budget. The amount of money spent on sweeps is enormous, and it is not helping.
And now we'll hear from Ken Swart, Kyle Chapman, and Jed Arkley.
Good evening, counselors, and thank you for taking this time to have these sessions. These statements are my own, not of my employer. My name is Ken Swart. I'm a EMT with the Portland Fire Chat team. I just want to talk about the budget, specifically affecting the Fire Bureau. I'm not blind to the fact of where the city's financial situation, but making cuts to first responders just doesn't sit right with me, especially with the needs of the city. Want to talk about the chat team within the Fire Bureau. Chat's a small but mighty team working on problems that I think most citizens want actions for. We respond to lower acuity medical calls, and we also respond to overdoses. The work we do is new in the EMS space, where instead of just loading people into an ambulance immediately, we actually take time and try and get to the root causes that's causing them to call 911 frequently. Or with overdoses, trying to get people into treatment. And we've had a real impact on the community and have had great success stories of getting people off the street, into shelters and tiny homes, getting people insurance, connected with primary care. We also work with the elderly community, making sure that they can stay at home as long as they can until that time comes when they need one very important stat that I think we talk about a lot is the amount of savings we've helped with the healthcare system. It's about 16 million since 2021. Having our budget cut is going to affect our already small team greatly and affect the work that we do within our high-risk community. With these cuts, we'll have less support to go out into the community. It could ultimately affect the work that we're able to do on the back end of these calls, getting these citizens turned into the right direction. It would also just put great stress on the fire stations that are already going to be, that already respond to these medical calls and try and keep them in service for higher acuity calls as well as for fire calls. Fire stations are just going to get more stress based off the proposed budget cuts for them, especially in St. John's.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Chapman. I serve as the co-chair of the Portland Utility Board, although I'm attending this evening just as an informed and impassioned Portlander. The views are my own, but many reflect the positions taken in the April 10th letter issued to city leadership. I want to start by advocating for scenario 1, or the 7.5% combined rate increase for the Water Bureau and the Bureau of Environmental Services. This reflects a $1.82 monthly average increase to the bill. And specifically, this is maintaining current service levels, which is a bit of a misdirect because those service levels reflect years of reductions and constrictions on both bureaus. That is why I'm in opposition to the mayor's proposed 6.36% or scenario 2 increase. There's some very specific reductions around wildfire planning, unidirectional pipe flushing, as well as the smart metering program that have significant downstream consequences for somewhat nominal reductions. This is the even more complex and dynamic interdependent point. We just had a pub meeting this afternoon. We had public testimony on the bond issuance for $535 million on the Bull Run filtration facility. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of visibility. I am still an advocate for that bond issuance, despite the dynamics of building back density for ratepayer base. I'm in favor because it is not strictly, in my opinion, about meeting regulatory compliance of preventing cryptosporidium. It's a generational investment in climate change resilience to give a true backbone to our environment for climate change, extreme weather events, and high turbidity, which are just going to become mounting and in their intensity and rapidity. There's a couple of pieces, 30 seconds, good. I want to say there's a couple pieces I see. First, I want to make sure that the bureaus are championing existing affordability program to protect those most vulnerable as they're impacted by rate increases. I'm also excited to see communication of value as opposed strictly to cost on the facility itself. Finally, I've been trying to keep pace with City Council. Y'all are pushing so hard. Thank you. Long hours, tight, constrained timeframes, and a special shout out as well to Director Lou, Quisha Light, Cecilia, and even though they're no longer here, Fashad. They're all wonderful people. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, councilors and CA Lee, for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jed Arkley. I'm a coordinator / event producer with the Portland Parks and Recreation Summer Free for All program. I'm also on the executive board of the City of Portland Professional Workers Union, CPBW, a few of us here tonight. And this testimony, however, is on behalf of myself as a resident of Portland. At Summer Free for All, I partner with a broad range of community organizations in every single district across the city to help produce 40 to 50 free community-driven movies and concerts in neighborhood parks. On District 4, I've worked directly with community groups at Pendleton Park, saw Maria here, Selwood Park, and Jameson Square Parks. I've also been the lead producer of the Washington Park Summer Festival since 2018. So Summer Free for All brings connection, safety, and joy to District 4, and the program is growing. Last year, we had our highest average attendance per event on record, 829 people, and our overall attendance exceeded projections by 32%. We served over 32,000 Portlanders. Community gatherings like ours are desperately needed these days, and the data bears that out. However, the mayor's proposal is offering a very sneaky cut to this important program, and I would like you to take a look at this closer. It's page 891 of the PDF version. First, you'll see that the mayor is proposing to slash the hours of the 2 key event producer positions by a combined 600 hours per year, while simultaneously claiming this is not a personnel cut. He's also proposing to eliminate one of our recreation lead positions. This is our on-site crew leader that builds stages and inflates movie screens. The mayor is stating these cuts will have no service impacts. So these cuts are the equivalent of telling a wedding planner to only show up just on the day of the wedding, telling the catering lead to not show up to run the food service, and hope the wedding goes off without a hitch. So we just passed another parks levy. Portlanders are not asking for less from parks. And at the same time, in this budget, the city administrator's office is asking for $2.1 million in additional funding for management positions. The mayor is also asking for $200,000 to create a downtown marketing initiative. So trading a popular parks program that fosters joy, belonging, and community with proven results for more levels of bureaucratic bloat or paying a consultant $200,000 will not serve District 4. Please remove these personnel cuts to the Summer Free for All program from this budget so we can continue to serve District 4 and all of the city of Portland. Thanks so much.
And now we'll hear from Michelle Lavina, Benjamin Gilbert, and Rebecca Weisbarton.
Good evening, councilors and City Administrator Lee. Thank you so much for your time. And for the record, my name is Michelle Lavinia. I'm the chat program manager for the chat program at Portland Fire and Rescue. These comments are my own and not that of my employer. I'm also speaking to you as a nurse of 30 plus years, and I've served this community for over 20 years. I know you've had an opportunity to hear many of our impact value statements from many people so far today and in past budget sessions, but I just wanted to provide a little bit more context on the 16 million. It not only is a healthcare savings, but it also is doesn't account for efficiencies that we've created within the public safety service area, and it doesn't also account for the full cost of an ED visit. It does not include physician costs and any other projected Medicaid costs. If a team like ours had not impacted the patient, this client would have impounding costs associated with their ED stay. I'd like to take this opportunity to provide a little bit different context and think about our community in Portland in a few months, when the full effect of HR 1 and the big beautiful bill take effect within the city. The key impacts will be seen on Medicaid coverage for Portlanders and will include a total of $1 billion reduction in federal Medicaid funding cuts for Oregon, and an estimated of over 200,000 Oregonians may become uninsured over the next 10 years. And many residents relying on Medicaid for healthcare may face reduced access to necessary services. Locally, these cuts will likely lead to fewer health services available for Medicaid recipients. Increased rates for uninsured individuals will result in higher healthcare costs for individuals and families, and this will mostly affect vulnerable populations, including low-income families and individuals with disabilities. They will be disproportionately affected. In Multnomah County, these challenges are projected to have a significant impact on the community members that we serve. Chat Funding has partners with Care Oregon and HealthShare, and they want to plan with us our sustainability plan, but they also want to see some investment within the city and work with us. Thank you.
Hi, counselors. My name is Rebecca Weisbarton. I'm in District 2. It's good to see you all and good luck on your campaigns this year. I was at the District 2 budget meeting yesterday, and we heard about Engine 22 a lot. That I'm sure you guys saw that. I also encourage them to my counselors in District 2 to reject this budget, send it back. This is a new form of government. You guys kind of run the show right now. Send it back, tell them to try again. Look at PSEF funds. He's cutting the budgets, or he's cutting all these spaces, but he doesn't really have another place to pull from. He doesn't really have any ideas. But my main thing that I'd like to say today is I'm here to support chat, and he's not here. He didn't go to 1, he didn't go to 2, he wasn't at 3, and this is the last one today. That's all.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Gilbert. I'm a volunteer lobbyist for the Portland Democratic Socialists of America, and I'm a tenant in District 4. We need to chop from the top. We have a bloated management, and we should be cutting management and not the workers who make our city work, the workers that we see every day doing the work in the city. We need to stop hiring so many contractors. We need full-time city workers in stable positions. Contracting out robs our city of experience and institutional knowledge. And that's a problem, and it's a bad deal for Portland. And we need a better deal for the Moda Center, not the ripoff being proposed right now. That is a record. It would win an award for irresponsible stadium deals. So maybe we need to put on our socialists for fiscal responsibility hats and demand that we don't give Texas oil billionaires hundreds of millions of dollars. Thank you.
So that concludes the testimony sign up. We do have some more time if there's anyone that would like to provide up to 2 minutes of comment. Okay, and with that, we will hear some closing remarks from your city councilors.
Go for it?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody who took the time to come tonight and to speak to us. I really appreciate it. I just want to make a couple of observations about what I heard. I'm the chair of the council's Public Works Committee, so I was particularly interested in what I heard about the core services realignment, because I had heard earlier or seen the numbers early on and thought that Public Works was taking a pretty heavy hit there. So I really appreciated hearing some more refined testimony on that. Thank you from PBOT and BES and others. I also really want to appreciate, I can't remember his name, Kyle, maybe? Is he still here? From the Public Works or Portland Public Utility Board. Thank you so much for coming. And tonight, it sounds like you were busy last night. But I really appreciate what you had to say about our water filtration plant. And I know that we're faced with higher rates, but I think you're right. This is a long-term investment. And then given climate change, it's an even more important investment that we need to make into the future. Excuse me. I also just want to appreciate the people who came to speak about chat. There were several. I think we are being a little, well, I'd like to say, penny wise and pound foolish when it comes to the chat. So I'll be interested, as I said earlier, in trying to find additional resources to restore that program. And thanks to the people who actually use 311 and value 311 and the Rose City connection. It was nice to hear that positive feedback that that's actually helpful. But I know there was a lot more. I just wanted to give some feedback from my perspective as the chair of the Public Works Committee. So thank you all very much for your comments.
Thank you so much for your comments today. I want to acknowledge that some of you are out there wearing T-shirts that are part of our public sector workforce, and that's okay. I want to hear from you too. You're members of our community and you vote. I just want to kind of take a minute to take stock of some interrelated themes that I'm hearing from testimony. I'm hearing folks say, please don't cut chat. please don't take us a step backwards in our city. I'm also hearing that from the standpoint of city beautification. And I want to say that if we're cutting into those things that have upstream sort of benefits and solutions, then we're going to be stuck in a world where we continue to throw good money after bad, cleaning up the consequences of failing to solve the root causes of our system. And so when I hear about cuts happening in places like chat, PSR, and we're not looking at whether or not we're over-indexed on some of the campsite clearances budgets and the potential impact of driving folks deeper into Forest Park, where there's new fire risk because people are camping out there, and we're cutting a fire truck. This is all interrelated to me, and that's what my team and I'll be looking at throughout the budget through the rest of the month that we have. So thank you so much for your perspective, and I would encourage you to come to the work sessions that are still remaining. There's a span of control work session on Friday. And we're going to be talking about this sort of question of management to rank and file there. And I hope that you show up. Thanks.
Well, I mean, I wrote down something from every single person who spoke, and that I have a lot of these lists from last year as well. And I show you that because I looked at them throughout the entire process last year when we were going through this to remind myself when we got down to different amendment packages, what the things were that inspired people to come to a microphone and take time out of their day to talk about, because that's the thing that bubbles up. So I'll keep this with me. I appreciate those who came out. I mean, to a person, I think all but Rebecca maybe, but Rebecca, you're a good city constituent regardless. But I think all but Rebecca was a D4 resident or an employee who sits on one of our, or a volunteer who sits on one of our boards, or an employee who does work that affects District 4. And so I just really appreciate you all advocating for our neighborhoods, which run the gamut, right from down where Mitch and I live in South and West Portland to Linton. And so none of your messages are falling on deaf ears. And some of us in this room, we've had some pretty tough conversations throughout the last year and a half on things we agree and things we disagree. But I'm hearing you all and taking that very seriously in terms of trying to find a solution similar, with to Mitch's point, is that there's a lot of interrelatedness. You push or you squeeze in one area, or you invest in one area, and its effect that it has in other third and fourth order effects is something that is part of this job that we have to take into consideration. And so I really value you guys